Hello, we're making a frog on this little tutorial today using the Lawn Fawn Woodland Critter Huggers die cut. My name's Laura and welcome. So this is the frog that I made. I made up some pieces in order to make it, but I'm happy to be able to show you what I made. So let's get started. So first off, to show you what I used, here I have my pieces. I used dark green and light green cardstock, as well as a little bit of black sticky cardstock for the eyes. That way it's easier to adhere them. So I have the dark green body. I used the end of the tail to make the feet. So I have 4 of those. I used the light green to make the belly. And then in terms of other pieces, I have these 1-inch circles that we're going to use to make the eyes here. I made up this oval piece using actually the belly by flipping it back and forth on a piece of paper, but to save you that trouble, I'll attach a little template that you can use. And that piece is about 2 5/8 by 1 5/8 inches. For the legs, in order to make them look like a frog, I made more of the arms on the main body. So these 2 pieces are going to be this back of the leg. And then I even made 2 more where I had the paper extending further into the body when I cut it. So to show you that, we have this little die cut. So when I cut it, I overlap the paper, so you have a little bit more to work with here. And I'll show you that I cut that down to this piece, to this size, in order to make that leg there. And then you just attach all the pieces, and there you go. So let's get started. Okay, so here we go. Step 1 in making the frog involves cutting off the ears and rounding this edge, because we don't need our frog to have little pointy nubs in the background. So I'm just going to kind of follow this curve around here. It's not super crucial that you have this perfect because the oval is going to cover it up. So we're just going to round out this edge. I like to do a little bit more of a round. It's not, like I said, it's not crucial. It's not super vital to the situation, but just looks a little bit classier. So there you go. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to trim off about 1/4 inch from the bottom. Otherwise, your frog is going to look a little bit too tall and lengthy. Somehow he got stretched out in the process of growing. So just about 1/4 inch off the bottom. And there you go. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our belly and we're going to adhere it on. So taking some kind of adhering supplies. I like to kind of center it right here. And now might be a good time, while everything's still open, just to kind of round this corner out here, so it doesn't look like he has a rough and tough, super straight-edged belly. So we're going to just kind of trim it. It just has to be a little bit rounded. It's not crazy how specific or anything like that. So just a little bit right off the corner there. So there we go. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the head. So this oval piece, which I'll have this template for, we're going to kind of line up the top here. It's going to end up pretty close right down there. So again, we're going to just kind of attach this. Making sure it's, for the most part, centered and not tilting one way or another too much. And there we go. Taking your 1-inch eye bumps next. We're not putting them half under because that would be too small. So we're going to have about 2/3 or 3/4 of the inch sticking up. So applying a little bit of sticky here and here. And as you see, we want about, I don't know, half an inch, just less than half of an inch in between the two of them. And you want them sticking out just about like that. There we go. So we've got that. It's good to go. So you can either attach the ice now or later. I'm just going to do it later just to be simpler. Unlike the typical critter huggers, where they have this really nice edge already scored for you, we're going to actually bend the front legs of the frog a little bit differently, just so you have a little bit more of that downward angle versus the inward hugging kind of posture. So it's still at the top going to be about here, but at the bottom it's going to be just a little bit off, maybe just less than 1/4 of an inch. We want to just go for more of a downwards bend, kind of like this. And we're going to do that on both sides. Just kind of using my fingernail to make a little bit of a score line. It's not super important that it's pre-scored. This part's kind of up to you exactly how you want to do it. Just lining them up right there. Okay, so we have our front legs ready to go. Now we're getting to the back hind legs. So the first thing that we want to do is attach these partial arms. If you look on the back here, they're kind of at a funky angle, and very little sticks out. About 3/4 of an inch of them actually shows, but I have extra just so I have room to work with and adhere them. So I started, and they're going to pop out right at the top of your other limb. So we're going to do it about like this. So I'm going to put some here on there and lining it up right about there. That looks good. So he looks like he has a little bit of a wing right now, but I promise we're going to turn it into a hind leg. Doing the same on the other side. Sticking out, I'm kind of using this grid to help me. At the top here, about 3/4 of an inch. So he's got his two little nubs, so on the back. It looks a little wonky because of the way that the arms are cut, but sticking out right like that. So this next part is a little bit tricky. It looks pretty funny right now because I haven't cut these down yet, but I'm going to take the arm that is extended here. I'm going to turn it into the back hind. I mean, not the thigh. This would be the thigh of the back hind leg, but this would be more of the calf-ish region. If frogs have calves. Ooh, and we're bending, so 1 second. Okay, so we're continuing on with this leg. I've already cut out one of them, as you can see. So I just took the little template that I made for making my first frog. I got it by trial and error. And I took it and I just kind of set it on the other one and I traced around it real quick. And then from there I can just cut it out, and after cutting it out, just erasing those pencil marks. It's not extremely crucial that it's perfect. I think I traced this one a little bit off. So I can just make a little correction here. That's pretty good. So we don't have to worry about those. So now we have the two fronts of the legs. I know they have this little fold from what the die cut does. And a way that you can deal with that is either ignore it or try to cover it up somehow if you like. It's not super important. In fact, it can even kind of look like it's part of the muscle or something here if you want it to. or you can just flip them over. Depending upon your mat when you cut it out with the die cut, will depend on whether or not the back is all patterned, or you can figure out if that's what you like. So the next step, we're just going to take these and we're going to glue them on, or adhere them, right on top of the back thigh. They'll just sit on that little nub. And I have mine tilted in just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more of a froggy look. So let's do that. I hope that you enjoy the little frog. He's always a cute little critter. So that's kind of fun. I want to do it so there's just a little bit of room in between the two. Just like that, I think. Okay, so our next step is just having to do with the feet. So we have the 4 of them, and I personally don't like the pointy tip here. You could leave it if you wanted to prevent having to cut even more, but I'm just going to round this edge, so I'm going to line them all up here, and then use my scissors to just kind of give it a little bit more of a curve, a little more natural for the frog than the pointy tip for their little point of attachment to the legs. So just a nice little curve there. And then all we're going to do is attach those and pretty much be done. So for me, I wanted to attach the feet in a way that made them look pretty realistic. So as you can see, I did different anglings. For the front legs, I angled them inwards, whereas the outer back legs, I angled them out. I did this because of the picture, which I used as a reference in order to make the frog, had the feet kind of looking like that. So maybe like they're gonna hold something here in the middle. That. And then on the outside, having a little bit of splashy fun. See? Just about like that. So really the only things left are attaching the eyes and the mouth. So I have my little eyes. I like the winky ones for the frogs. It's pretty cute, but you can use the circular eyes too, or draw on your own eyes and smiley face. And then for the smile, I used a scrap from a different die cut that my mom had used recently, but you're welcome just to draw it on or try to mimic that by yourself, but it's really up to you. And that is pretty much, oopsies, our frog. I hope you enjoyed.